To yet another setback for Harry and Meghan, because their charitable foundation has been listed as delinquent for failing to submit its annual report and registration fees on time. Now, the charity has claimed its missing files were declared on time. Well, joining me now is the former royal correspondent, Michael Cole. Michael, always a delight. Here we go again. Yet more bad news for Harry and Meghan. They've been called many things, but delinquent? That's a new one.
Mm-hmm. The cheque is in the post. Have we ever heard that before? I think we have. Now, in America, they invigilate charities a lot more vigorously than the Charity Commission does in this country, where many dubious organisations pass themselves off as charities when, in effect, they are lobbying organisations with various political agendas. But in America, you have to re-register every year, and you have to send a cheque. And what the Archwell Foundation, which is their personal charitable arm, says that they filled in all the paperwork, but they forgot to send the cheque. Interestingly, and this is a small note, but an important one, the word cheque was written in the British way, Q-U-E at the end, instead of American normal practice, C-H-E-C-K. Every American refers to a cheque and writes the cheque that way. So perhaps this was the influence of the new British PR guru they've taken on board. Of course, Meghan, and we see her in all her loveliness there, says that she's done with Britain, done with the UK. In other words, it's an American way of saying finished with us. And yet she seems to be very concerned about her image in this country and has hired a PR person from an agency here to burnish their credentials and shine their image. Here we see them up in Whistler in British Columbia launching a new idea of his brilliant, and it has to be said, it's brilliant initiative for the Invictus Games, which I think we can all applaud. But of course, all that came pre-Meghan. That's just celebrated its 10th anniversary Invictus. All the things that he did which were good, the Centre charity in Africa, and of course his 2 tours of duty in the uniform of the Queen were all before he met and got engaged and got married to Meghan Markle. So at the moment they're delinquent, but the cheque it will clear, we presume, and that their charity, which cannot function unless it has paid its dues, will then continue to do its good work, as I'm sure the 2 principals would wish it to do.
Well, many people might wish that Meghan would check out of Britain, but that's enough of that. Can I talk to you about another scurrilous rumour? There's a very frothing, gushing piece in today's Daily Mail saying that the Nigeria tour, which you called the Meghan tour very brilliantly, is actually a warm-up act for what it might look like if she decides to run for US president. Now, this is a long-standing rumour, Michael. A lot of people putting wind in the sails of this. Is it, do you think, something that she might consider in the future? Has she got a hope in hell of ever becoming the president?
Yeah, Martin, there's plenty of precedent. I mean, Ronald Reagan was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, and he went on to be a successful governor of California and then a very successful 2-term president of the United States. Arnold Schwarzenegger married into the Kennedy family and was also a successful governor of California and might have gone on to be a presidential contender, but for the fact that he was born in Styria in Austria, the son of a policeman, and you have to be born in America in the 50 states in order to be able to run as a president. But she has made no secret of her affiliation to Democratic politics. Maybe this is, Martin, shall we say, the third act in the drama of her life. First act being a successful actress in a legal soap. Second act, marrying a royal prince and becoming a royal duchess. Third act, politics. Plenty of people have gone into it. There are precedents, and maybe that's what she sees herself doing.
Interesting, because also Schwarzenegger and Ronald Reagan were also very popular. Can I quickly ask you about the King's new portrait? I think we can get that up on screen. Have a look at it now. May I say, Michael, it's very red. To be uncharitable, it looks a bit like Extinction Rebellion might have already got to it.
Well, of course, it's the Welsh stars, and red is very much part of the tunic. Red is very much part of the Welsh dragon. But you know something? This guy, Jonathan Yeo, is an absolutely brilliant portraitist. When Prince Charles was young, he did a portrait of him sitting in a canvas chair looking very contemplative at a polo. It was a brilliant portrait, and he also did that portrait of the two brothers, William and Harry, in their household cavalry uniforms, standing together casually. He's absolutely wonderful. He's the son of Tim Yeo, who was a rather controversial MP, Tory MP, for South Suffolk, not very far away from where I am at the moment. And if anybody wanted to have their portrait painted, they'd be very lucky to have Tim Yeo to doing it. But I think it's rather strange. You get the portrait of the king looking out in monochrome almost, isn't it, from this sea of red. Really rather like, if you've ever seen any old portraits of the Green Man looking out through a wreath of green leaves, it's a little bit like that, maybe a little bit sinister. I'd love to know what the king thinks of it. It certainly makes an impact. You cannot avoid noticing a sea of red.
It certainly does, and we morphed seamlessly there from the portrait of His Majesty back to you, Michael Cole. And it's hard to tell who looked the most regal. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Michael Cole. You take care.
My pleasure.